Imagine this. The factories fall silent. The grocery store checkout lines are empty because the workers aren't there to scan your overpriced produce. The trucks that usually crawl along I-75 hauling goods from Detroit to Grand Rapids sit idle. The gears of capitalism grind to a halt, not because the economy collapsed under its own absurd weight, though that's overdue, but because workers made a choice. They walked out. They refused to keep the machine running. That, my friends, is a general strike. Now, I want to be clear. A general strike isn't just a few pissed off baristas refusing to make lattes or factory workers throwing down their tools for a long weekend. This is an all out labor shutdown, a full system revolt where the working class refuses to feed the beast. And what happens when workers stop working? The bosses panic, the government scrambles, and the people, we either suffer or we organize. This is where mutual aid steps in. Mutual aid is not a radical new idea born out of Twitter discourse and the fever dreams of anarchists. It is older than capitalism itself. It predates unions, nonprofits, and the patronizing idea that the rich must share their excess scraps for the rest of us to survive. Mutual aid is survival. It is people taking care of each other when institutions refuse. The term was first seriously analyzed by Peter Kropotkin in his 1902 book, Mutual Aid, A Factor of Evolution. Kropotkin, a Russian prince turned anarchist, because who better to expose the ruling class than one of their own, studied how species, including humans, survive not by ruthless competition, but through cooperation. He torched the social Darwinist garbage, showing that history's most resilient communities weren't built on cutthroat individualism, but on collective support. Think about it. When your car breaks down in the dead of winter on some frozen stretch of road, you don't rely on the free market to save you. You rely on a stranger, another human, who stops to help. That's mutual aid in action. And in times of crisis, from labor strikes to natural disasters, mutual aid becomes the only thing standing between people and devastation. Now, let's put this into perspective. A general strike is one of the most powerful weapons workers have against the ruling class, but it's also one of the riskiest. The system is designed to make striking feel impossible. Rent is due, groceries aren't free, the utility company doesn't care about you fighting for a better world, they just want their check. This is why historically the most successful strikes have relied on mutual aid networks. During the 1934 Teamsters Strike in Minneapolis, working class neighborhoods organized food kitchens, medical aid, and strike funds to sustain themselves. Strikers weren't just demanding better wages, they were actively proving that they could build something better than what the bosses provided. During the 1969 Black Panther Free Breakfast for Children program, mutual aid fed thousands of hungry kids while the government dragged its feet on basic welfare programs. The state saw this as such a threat that J. Edgar Hoover himself labeled it one of the biggest dangers to American stability. Think about that. Feeding kids was seen as a revolutionary act because it exposed the government's and capitalism's failure. Now, apply that to a general strike. If mutual aid networks can sustain striking workers, provide food, medical care, financial assistance, and community defense, then the fear mongering loses its power. The bosses lose their leverage. The media narrative that striking means starving your family collapses. And this isn't hypothetical. Mutual aid groups already exist across Michigan. Metro Detroit Mutual Aid is actively training people in survival logistics. Grand Rapids Area Mutual Aid Network is redistributing resources without bureaucratic red tape. Mutual Aid of Northwest Michigan is proving that even rural communities can build self-sufficiency outside of capitalist structures. These are not charity groups. They do not operate on a billionaire's handouts or performative goodwill. These are working class people helping other working class people, building the kind of real solidarity that terrifies the ruling elite. So here's the playbook for today's episode. I'm going to break down the mutual aid networks already operating in Michigan. I'm going to show how they've sustained workers and communities in times of crisis. And I'm going to make that case that without a strong mutual aid infrastructure, a general strike is impossible. But with one, it is unstoppable. Because in the end, that's what this is about. The system survives because we are forced to rely on it. Mutual aid proves we don't have to. And when the day comes that we walk out for a day, a week, or however long it takes, the only thing that will determine whether we win or lose isn't how mad we are at the bosses. It's whether we're ready to take care of each other. Let's get into it.